Welcome to Dead Man Talking. If you have a story of a strange encounter or something that just didn't quite make sense, please feel free to get in contact with myself on Twitter. That's DTalking666. Again, that's DTalking666. And even if you just want to have a chat, hit me up. Tonight's story is entitled, I Thought I Was Going Hunting. April 27th, 11 a.m. The new guy, Myers, at the office invited me on a hunting trip and promised there'd be beer, lots of it. He also said I could bring any two friends in the office I'd like. Haha, there's no way you can really bribe your manager into liking you. But free booze and a hunting trip is a pretty fucking good way to do it, if you were going to try. April 29th, 10 a.m. I unsurprisingly decided to invite Olsen and Zach along for the trip. Olsen I've known for the past 5 years and we have been real good friends. Real friends for most of those years. He's a beer-bellied bearded man in his mid-30s who's always quick to crack a joke even if it will humiliate someone or even himself. I've known Zach for not nearly as long as Olsen, but I really consider him a dear friend. He's as thin as a rail and his sense of humour is somewhat, people would say, rather dark. I quite love it. Anyways, we'll be leaving Friday right at 5. To be honest, I'm quite excited. May 2nd, 5 p.m. At 4:59, I was walking through the halls gathering up the posse. We all piled into Myers' camo doorless Jeep and we headed for Sunset Forest. We blasted tunes while rocketing down the long roads and in the middle of nowhere. Olsen was stuck into the back with Zach and kept complaining about how he was allergic to dogs in between these massive bouts of sneezing. The Jeep did have quite a lot of loose, thick black dog hair in it. Why didn't you bring along the old pooch for the trip? Not much of a hunter? I asked curiously. Nah, she's not much of an outdoors dog at all. She's more my wife's dog anyways. He tapped on the glove box and showed me a family picture of him, his wife and the dog in question. I paused, confused for a second. The dog was a white poodle. May 2nd, 7 p.m. Once we got to the Forest Visitor Centre and Park, we had about 2 hours of daylight left to hike up to the camping grounds. We made casual conversation while we walked along the forest. The trees were a lot denser than I was expecting. I feel like goddamn Red Riding Hood in these woods, Olsen wheezed. He was struggling a lot more with his pack than anyone else. Especially Myers, the dude's a machine, I swear. Yeah, but your fat ass isn't gonna be stalked by a massive wolf, Zach said jokingly. We all chuckled, except for Myers. I think he was too focused on the map or something. May 2nd, 10 p.m. We set up our big tent and pitched our sleeping bags inside. We kept the fire nice and crackling and went on about our excitement for the big hunt tomorrow morning. The fire started to die down, but it wasn't too dark because all of the moonlight. It was full. Best time for hunting, Myers remarked to himself, right before stating that we should probably turn in so we can all be ready in the morning. May 3rd, 2:30 a.m. I got up to piss in the middle of the night. It was a lot colder than I thought it would be. Something was off and I didn't feel comfortable straying too far from the clearing. I looked around for a while. I was doing my business. I would normally whistle. I didn't though. It sounds silly, but I was sort of afraid something would come if I did. On my way back to the tent, I noticed something a good 20 yards back from the tent. I wasn't sure what it was at first, and I was almost too tired to care. But curiosity got the best of me, and I slowly wandered over, closer to the thing blowing in the night wind. A sense of confusion and then dread fell upon me. It was torn and tattered, almost ripped to shreds. It was Myers' sleeping bag. I ran back to the tent. Sure enough, Myers wasn't there. I woke Zach and Olsen up urgently, and they begrudgingly got up. I know we were going to get up early, but Jesus man, it's like 3 a.m, Zach complained. No, something's wrong, I said. They must have detected the fear in my voice because they both sat up and seemed more or less intent. Myers is missing? I don't know what happened, but something tore up his sleeping bag and he's gone. "What the fuck do you mean something tore up his bag?" Olsen questioned, sterner than I'd ever heard the man talk. I told him to get dressed and we walked together to the bag outside. "We need to contact the Rangers," I said. "He's at the risk of hypothermia. All his clothes are still in the tent." We all agreed and started booking it back to the visitor station where we parked. May 3rd, 4 a.m. Fuck! We couldn't find Maya's map in the tent, but we thought we could make do without it. We have been at a brisk pace for almost an hour now, and it's really hard to tell where we are because of how dark it is. Olsen kept complaining about how fast we were going. He's obviously having trouble keeping up. He hadn't complained in a while though, so maybe he understood the urgency of the situation. I looked back past Zach to check on him, and he wasn't there. "Where the fuck's Olsen?" I tried to sound tough, but my voice was shaking with fear. Maybe he just fell a little behind. Let's just wait and I'm sure he'll catch up, Zach said, also clearly agitated. We waited for about 5 minutes in the dark, and then we started retracing our steps. Zach was right in front of me, and in his haste he tripped over a branch in the middle of the path or something and fell face first. Fuck! Landed on my wrist, man. Shit! Fuck! "Do we have any ibuprofen in the medkit, do you know?" he whispered through gritted teeth. "Yeah, fuck, sure, I replied. I knelt to scavenge for my pack for the painkillers. When Zach stood up, "What the fuck, he slowly said in a soft voice. "Hey man, I think we found Olsen." "What?" I said, more confused as ever. Zach took one of the mini camping flashlights and shined it directly behind me. He hadn't tripped on a branch. A big hunting boot lay in the middle of the path. Something was in it, though. An oozing dark crimson originated from which it trailed off the path. Zach followed the trail up a tree, and hanging there, about 7 feet up, was my good friend. Not fully intact, with intestines spilling out. Olsen was pinned to the tree with an arm-sized branch that had been violently shoved through his jaws all the way into the tree. I dropped the medkit. I was fiddling with terror. I was at a complete loss for words, and Zach couldn't stammer anything either. Zach was completely void of all pigment and looked more like a gaunt ghost than ever. We were both terrified. We heard scraping and scrabbling up towards the top of the death tree. We looked up, and we could see something was coming down.